of discouraging and even defeating their foes. And so what the doubters do here is end with the fact that they are giants in the land, and they say, hey, we look like grasshoppers to them. I need you to see that not only did they feel small, I need somebody to go with me on this particular passage, but they are already projecting what their enemies think about them. And I need somebody to catch that today, because it's a sad thing when I doubt myself. It's a sad thing when I put limits on the God that I serve, but it is a sadder thing when I do it because of what I think somebody else thinks in their heart. It's a sad thing when I live my life on the basis of somebody else's opinion of who they say I am. It's a sad thing when I size myself up on the basis of how they size me up. Do I have anybody that knows somebody that is in that predicament right now? They can't even pick out their own wardrobe, but because they have to size up what somebody will think about them. They can't even make decisions in their lives, or because they're thinking constantly about what their public opinion or outcome concerning them is going to be. That's why they have a fantasy life on Facebook and a pretend life on Instagram, because they are so consumed with what other people will think about them. They never take time to think about what I think about me and what God has declared for my life. I need you to see it right now. It is here in the text that many of us even will choose a boo thing on the basis of this is what I could get and who I've got to settle with. I wish somebody would go with me today to understand that the devil is a liar. Even if you are a diamond in the rough, you better own who you are. Even if you've got to dress it up, I don't care what you've got to do with it. You better be comfortable in your own skin. You better be comfortable with the promises of God. You better be comfortable with the fact that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that when God made you and birthed you, he broke the mold concerning you. And I need anybody to declare right now, if God is in it, there is no limit. And I wonder if there's anybody who can voice Caleb for a moment and shout, he has already given me the city. Y'all need to declare that. Sometimes even in the face of your enemies, you need to repeat the word of God over and over again to yourself. I shall live and not die. I know there are people that think you'll never make it. You're limited. You are restricted. You are confined. You are bound hand and foot. But somebody ought to bust out in the spirit and declare what God declared through his word. I stand on. I'm not standing on opinion. I'm standing on the word. I'm not standing on what somebody said. I'm standing on the word. I'm not standing on my fear. I'm standing on the word. I'm not standing on doubt. I'm standing on the word. Somebody in the house ought to declare what God has declared from Genesis to Revelation is mine, all mine, if God is in it. There is no limit. Check the text. Caleb repeats something, y'all don't miss it. Early in Numbers 13, God says to Moses, send out the spies, send out the scouts, because I've already given it to you. So what Caleb says here in verse 30 is only a repetition of what God has already said by word. But I need you to see something here. I need you to catch this here. Caleb understands something that the other 10 outside of Joshua and Caleb miss. They are looking at their stature. They are looking at the report and looking at the belief that these giants are too big for them. I need you to see this. And they are missing their God. I need somebody to catch that who's in the battle of limits right now. Don't get the giants so in your purview that you miss out on the God of your giants. Don't be be so consumed with how you think the battle is going to play out, what you believe the outcome is going to be, that you miss out on the fact that the God you serve is bigger than any giant, bigger than any storm, bigger than any trouble, bigger than any test, bigger than any financial problem, bigger than any educational disappointment, bigger than any relational breakup, bigger than any family chaos. How many know that the God we serve is bigger than all that? And that's why, y'all, you may have a giant towering over you, but you ought to say, I'm serving somebody bigger than you are. Is there anybody that can begin to give God praise because you know no matter how big it is, how strong it is, how much it pulls at you, how much it causes you to lay awake at night, how much it causes your blood pressure to rise, that there is a bigger God somewhere. Somebody ought to give God praise right now, because the God we serve is bigger than any limit that you could ever face in your life. If God is in it, there is no limit. Here's the question: how, Shiloh, do we know God's in it and there's no